Hi, everyone. This is Brian Piper and Elias Ventura back with another episode of Where Are They Now? The Industry Awards Finalists. Another one, man. We're
Another one. I get to stare at you for eternity.
Eternity. Is that what it feels like when you have to look at me?
Yep.
Drags on.
I feel like you should use filters to look different.
Okay. Maybe I'll get some masks or something.
No, just like a filter.
Just filters? Get some TikTok filters?
Yeah.
I don't even know what those look like, but yeah, you know.
McNulty knows what those look like because he's trying to get me to follow him on TikTok. Like every day he's like, "Did you join yet? Did you join yet?" And all he wants to do is send me sports memes so we can argue over like LeBron, Kobe, and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So.
He sends me, there's days I'll get 2 or 3, and then there's other days I'll get like 15 videos that he's sent me, and it's all while he's on the road.
Yeah.
He has nothing better to do than send TikTok videos. It's pretty funny.
Or practice safe driving habits.
With your self-drive car.
Right.
All right, man. How you been?
Good. Working.
Yeah, working. Yeah.
The grind never stops.
Never stops.
The phone calls never stop ringing. You know.
I will say, so this is the week of Sturgis that we're doing this, that we're recording this one, and calls have been a little less for me this week, but not terribly. A little, maybe 10-12% less, but
yeah, just
that helps.
Sturgis is more of like end consumers.
Yeah.
But our retailers are still out there,
Yeah,
grinding away,
Yeah, so. Every day. Speaking of retailers. Yeah, we got a big one. Might be one of the biggest.
It's a big place too.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet. It's sad because I'm like 3.5 hours away or so, maybe 4 hours, and I've never been there.
I think I've been there twice, and I live further away.
Yeah, I just haven't had the opportunity to go. It'll happen.
Slacker.
Yeah. What are you doing job things and then family things?
I got to sit in the Civic.
Well, that's a good thing. You got to climb into the Civic
gently? Yeah, it's tough to do with 2 people in there.
Yeah. Oh, you had 2 people in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is
Chris
it worse?
Like a very
Oh, like a detailed walkthrough. Okay.
So
is it worse than climbing in and out of Eldridge's NASCAR?
Yeah. So speaking of Chris, want to bring him in?
Yeah.
But it's not just Chris.
It's not. What do we do? What did we do?
I don't know. You broke it.
I broke it. It's not just Chris?
No.
Uh-oh. Should we bring him on?
Yeah.
All right.
That's Chris.
That's Chris. Uh-oh. Chris is getting tanked.
I feel like there needs to be a disclaimer for that.
You didn't say I couldn't drink, so we're good.
Hey, there's no rule against that. So for those of you guys that know this guy, we have a little surprise. We brought his wife along with him.
Woo-hoo!
Hi, everyone.
And the dog.
Oh, yes.
And the dog.
And the snack that probably the dog wants. What's going on,
All right, guys? This is Chris and Samantha from Mobile Toys Incorporated, the 2018 Multi-Store Retailer of the Year
winner.
Among other things, which we'll talk about in our conversation, I'm sure. But
there's a lot of W's within the 4 walls.
Yeah. Is there like a special room for the W's?
I don't think they just like fabricate like A-pillars and like custom boxes. I think they also like, W's and glass trophies and, just square bodies,
They're taking over the garages and living rooms and bedrooms.
Yeah.
That's
all
exciting.
those trophies from all those awards.
Yeah.
Beyond, I mean, like those seeing all the ones that you guys get from the trucks and the shows and everything, man, that's so much fun to see. It seemed like for a long time that kind of stuff went away. Like people weren't doing that. You know, huge trophies that you need a trailer to get it home. You got to tow another trailer behind the trailer with the truck to get it home, right?
Right.
Yeah. You know what though? It's a lot of fun. We've built a community out of it.
Yeah.
And family, friends, you know.
Right.
It's been great.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like you either see Chris posting late all the builds or all the late hours, or onto another event or onto another show.
Yeah.
Yep. On to the next.
So basically you guys go to shows and vacation, and that's kind of your days, right?
Yeah.
Because it seems like all I ever see is you're either at a show or you're on vacation.
It's kind of like a reward system, you guys.
1 week of a show, 2 weeks of vacation. 1 week of a
Yeah.
show, 2 weeks of vacation. That's a rough life, guys.
I wish it was like that.
Yeah, I wish. I wish.
I wish it was like that. That'd be nice.
Right? That would be fun, right? You and John Schwartz are like the two that are never at work. You're always
No,
elsewhere.
Wow.
never at work, but always at work.
Always
I wish
at work.
I wish that was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
case,
Always.
but I think the hours logged would disagree with you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. You know, it's that whole. I got tired of working for somebody else 40 hours a week, so I decided to work 120 for myself. Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So.
And
I mean, I
SEMA
even
is
brought
on
my
the horizon.
laptop on the vacation to the Bahamas.
Same time every year.
And SEMA's on the horizon too. So
Same time every
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're what, about a month and a half from SEMA Crunch, right? When all the guys call you, hey, we need a car done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. Sorry. If you don't, if your car's not at the shop right now, it's not getting done for SEMA. I promise you.
There you go. There you go.
We've got 4 hot rods being built, and we got 2 big lifted trucks. And I've had 3 other people call. I was like, man, I can't do your truck. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, no offense, you knew what time it was. I was like, they're like, well, you can crunch it out. No,
no,
I really
we
can't. I mean,
Yeah.
I might could, but
Good, but do I want
I
to?
don't want
Trust
to.
me, I might be able to do that, but your pocket doesn't want to afford it.
That's right.
We had a couple of them last year that found that out the hard way. They were
Yeah.
last minute ones, and I mean, it was the big one. We put the boat bed in the back
Oh,
of the
okay.
tower. He wanted
Yeah.
that done, and he was like, "Oh, you can do it for 15 grand." I was like, "You're out of your mind." No. And then
Add a
he
zero.
he ended up right at 45, and he had a good time. He sold the whole truck like, I don't know, not even 2 months after SEMA it was sold, and some other
Oh,
dude has it.
wow. That's crazy.
It was whatever.
That was
What
a
mattered to
fun
me, we
one.
got paid, and it was awesome. So
Yeah. As long as you guys get paid, it doesn't matter, right? Do whatever
it
you want
doesn't
with
matter
it.
to me what you do with the vehicle as long as it's awesome and doesn't break.
Right. Exactly.
that's true. Very true.
100%.
Do you guys like caravan to like SEMA, like a bunch of trailers and trucks?
Oh,
We have.
we have, but generally speaking, it's usually just me, her, and Lou, the trailer.
Okay.
Although I think she's gonna hit the eject button and make me and Lou drive by ourselves, and she's gonna fly. At least that's what she'd like to do.
That's
may
what I
not,
would
though.
like to do.
Yeah.
She may not though. So
No, the road trips are fun. They're so memorable, you guys. Like Amarillo by morning. We made it. Amarillo
We-
by morning.
we always hit Amarillo in the morning. We literally will plan the whole trip around being in Amarillo by morning so we can play the song.
So we can play
I
the
was
song.
like,
and
you
it-
got to play the song as you're rolling in, right?
yes.
Oh my God.
Every time.
And we
every time.
always make an extra stop somewhere. We went to the Hoover Dam once.
Yeah.
We went to, what was the other one? The Petrified Forest thing?
Lou would not get out of the truck. 'Cause
No,
was
he would not.
He was afraid a piece of petrified wood would get in his shoe and he would curse the rest of his life. So he would never get out of the truck the whole time. It was hilarious.
It was.
And we
That's
drug
great.
the truck with the big trailer all the way through there. So so we're having to park all weird so we can look at stuff. It was He wouldn't get out of the truck though. He's like, I'm not getting out of the truck. I don't want a pebble to get my shoe. Have bad luck.
Dude,
I was like, that's
For real,
one
like,
of those,
hey,
like,
I
big,
have
like,
pictures of him
plastic
hanging his
dumpster.
whole body out of the truck to get pictures. Oh, it's so
Jeez.
funny.
Should have put him in one of those big plastic like jumpsuits.
It
Or those
wouldn't
balls,
surprise me.
right? Those air up balls that you
Yeah.
like
Oh, the Arab
put him in
balls.
one of those and
Oh,
then
that
like
would be
kick
fun.
him down the petrified forest.
I know.
We'll get you when you land.
Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome,
good stuff.
guys.
I feel like that part of like going like towards like West Texas is probably like the most deserted, long, never-ending part of the drive.
So when you guys go, do you go through Dallas and then over? No.
No, we kind of we usually will cut over. So it depends. They usually like if we're going to so obviously we make 3 or 4 trips west a year. So
Yeah.
so if you're going toward if you're going towards Phoenix, for any one of the events that are there, or towards Southern Cal, you end up hitting I-10 and going 10 the
Yeah.
whole way. But otherwise, we cut through a bunch of small towns, and
Okay.
so we never get to Dallas because you're going at
Okay.
an angle the whole way, and you end up going through Amarillo, but it's like a bunch of small towns the whole way up. But it ain't bad.
Yeah. I've had to
I
do
would
that
rather
drive.
go west than east. I go east probably 10 times a year. I go west probably 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And I-10's better. All the roads seem to be better going west than they are east. The truck always drives better that way. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. I've had to make that drive to Amarillo a couple times because my daughter lives up there with my ex, and I've driven it a couple times, like going up to Dallas and then for work, and then making the drive out there. That's like 6.5 hours of the worst roads ever. There's nothing. It never changes and it never ends, and it's terrible. The one time I had to do it that was the absolute worst was couple of years ago. We drove from when I was still in Corpus. We drove from Corpus to Austin so I could put her on a plane to fly from Austin to Amarillo. This was December 28th. And we get to Austin and find out that they're not allowing minors to board planes, unaccompanied minors.
What?
Because they had all kinds of flight problems and stuff. This was like 2 years ago. And they had a bunch of cancellations, and they were like, well, we're not allowing unaccompanied minors to board. So I ended up driving so we had driven the 4.5 hours to Austin. Then we drove to Abilene, which was like another 5 hours. And then the next day, I finished the drive from Abilene to Amarillo, which was 4.5 hours. Dropped her off and turned around and drove the 11.5 or 12 hours all the way back to Corpus.
Oh.
So it was like that day alone was like 17 hours.
And you never left the state of Texas. Isn't that great?
Never left the
Yeah.
state of Texas. I was so sore, and like I wasn't stopping to eat. I would grab something in the gas station because every time I stopped, there was nowhere to grab food. It was just whatever gas station food was there. And by the time I got home, I had realized I drank like 9 energy drinks, 4 cups of coffee, and 8 candy bars and donuts. And I was sick for 3 days, and I was like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
Never again. Somebody's going with me if I got to make that drive.
That's intense.
Yeah, it was not fun, but it was totally, that was very unexpected to have to do that. So now, anytime we know that stuff's happening, we just plan for it. So, but yeah, I could just imagine like that's got to be. You talking about playing that song when you roll into Amarillo? That like needs to be the entrance, like the beginning of a video for mobile toys for the next retailer of the year submission.
I see what you did there.
Uh-huh. You saw how I fit that in there? Huh?
It won't be this year. I promise you that.
Oh,
maybe
it might.
next year we'll do it again. SEMA crunch is pretty rough this year, so we've got some pretty big builds that have to get done, and
Okay.
I have two trucks that I'm doing on my own, and
Ooh.
Kush is finishing up a 55 Bel Air right now, and he's got to go straight into a 68 SS Camaro, and then Phil's finishing a 68 SS Camaro that's also going to SEMA, and then he's got to jump into that Camaro with Kush, and so
Jeez.
so yeah, and they're all, every one of them's a full interior with custom dash, so Right,
Oh
so,
wow.
yeah,
Oh
and
wow.
so yeah, I mean they're all really big bills. I mean, Kush is finishing one while 3Ding the other. So and it's the same thing. I'm 3Ding two C10s at the same time, two score bodies at the same time, and
Oh
you
geez.
know, so yeah, I mean,
Well, Sam doesn't
and
have anything to do. She can do it for you.
she has to do
I
everything
have my
else.
laundry list of things that I do. Thank you. Production keeps me extremely busy. Thank you.
Yeah,
Along with marketing
100%,
and
right?
advertising.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
100%.
Yep. Oh, we lost Chris for a second.
100%.
Lost his camera. He's still there?
I think he went back to finish a SEMA build.
Yeah.
Right?
He was like, crap,
He's
I gotta
like,
go
she's
plant.
got this. Okay, peace out.
He comes back, it's like the truck is done.
Yeah, right.
We could take one more in.
Oh, true story. True story. Story of my life. Oh, it's
Well,
great though.
while we're waiting for Chris to make his way back in, I wanted to ask, we'll ask both of you guys, what is your kind of primary role day to day with mobile toys?
We both are operators. Like we both are hands-on. We are in there in the trenches with our employees, handling customer service all the way to managing. I mean, it's a daily grind. It's a daily
Okay.
grind every
Okay.
day. And keeping on top of whatever everyone's doing all the time, making sure that everyone is busy and staying on task. And, Chris has his side of the building and I have mine.
Okay.
We come together and it's like, what's going on? Okay, cool. Okay, good.
Nice.
So
Nice.
wear multiple hats.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So Chris, your day to day, I mean, obviously you're still very involved in the build side of the business as well, right? What else
Yeah, if
do
I
you
don't, and my guys could attest to this. I probably build more cars than anybody else. I mean, not that my guys don't kill it because they do,
right?
but I build a lot. If the moment I stop, I'm done with the whole thing anyway. So
Okay.
it's the only it's really the only thing that really keeps me going is the next build and what we're gonna do and helping the guys with whatever they can do and all that jazz. So I
Okay.
mean, yeah.
Okay. So your day to day is more you're hands on in the meat of the builds every day.
Yeah, and I mean anything they need up front, if Jeffrey needs help with a customer or whatever,
Sure.
I'd say more front of house stuff. Um, I mean, Samantha handles everything at the back. I'm only called if there's a disaster. If a laser catches on fire
Yes.
or something breaks, one of the CNCs goes down. I mean,
Compressors down,
or they have
But
no idea to put something together, and so I have to do an expanded drawing and say, hey, this is how it's supposed to go, and just let me
Okay.
know. And but generally speaking, everyone kind of makes a concerted effort to try to avoid me, which is because they know I've got stuff to do, and so they, yeah, it just depends on everyone always can tell by the initial look in the morning if I'm in a good mood or bad mood or whether to be around me because I don't really yell at anybody or get this. If I'm in a bad mood, I just don't talk. So
Right.
just leave me
Right.
alone, and I'm going to do my thing, and you do your thing, and we'll all end up in the same spot. So
Good. Okay.
Samantha's learned that enough, so she just generally wants to smack me upside the head if I'm in a bad mood. So it's cool.
I feel like that'd be entertaining to watch.
I mean, she
mean-
can use a flip flop or whatever she's got in her hand at the time.
The shankla.
Chancla.
I feel like the aim is different with the chancla. Like it's more accurate for some
It
reason.
is.
I don't
Yeah.
know why.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You do
My-
axe throwing, it's probably not accurate. But you do a chancla, it's like
Yeah. My grandmother had deadly aim with a shankla. Holy cow. She could hit you from like 50 feet away, dead in the eye.
She got me from across the room when we were on vacation. We've been drinking too much. So.
Oh, you were drunk and you had target aim, huh?
Oh no.
She's better when she's drinking. What are you talking about?
I think the aim is good regardless. I think the chancla
Yeah.
aim is just superpower for like everyone.
Yeah, I think it's built into the chancla itself, right? As long as
Yeah.
you get close, it's going to do its job.
You got it.
That's funny.
Oh.
That's awesome.
So I decided to have a little fun with changing up some of the questions. And in Elias's own humor, I wanted to ask who's really the boss.
Depends on what we're talking about.
We're talking about mobile toys here, so you know.
Depends on what we were talking about. I would say if you're up front, I'm the boss. You're in the back, she's the boss. So that's
We
her.
wear
That's her.
equal
I
hats.
try to not be the boss in the back. I mean, everyone's scared of me anyway, so it doesn't matter.
This is very true.
But I try to not be the boss in the back. That's her job, not mine. So it doesn't work all the time, but I mean, I try to do it that way.
I feel like being the boss sometimes has its like, you know, setbacks because you have to be the mean person sometimes. You know,
do. You have to set the boundaries.
you have to throw the
You set
chocolate.
the standards. Yep. And sometimes you want to throw the chocolate at all of them.
You need that one big giant one that's like on like a you know, you grab the thing and you pull it back like this and you let it go and it just like boomerangs
Yes.
around the shop. Takes them all out at once.
Yes.
Well, there are days. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
I've had
How many
those
of,
days in my past.
How many employees are you guys at now? I feel like there's a lot of faces there.
Yeah, we have about 30 employees.
Wow.
Yeah, give or take. Depends on the day.
Yeah, right.
Depends on
We
who
have a
got
lot
fired
of
that week.
college kids out right now, but they're about to come back. So
Yeah.
Wow.
It's around 30.
That's awesome, guys.
It's a lot.
That's awesome. Congrats. I mean, I've seen the growth and man, just seeing the operations firsthand. It's amazing, like what you guys do, and it's like last time I was there, just seeing everything in person. Like you guys do a lot for, and I'm going to say this in a weird way, for such a small space, but not a small space. Like you guys do a lot, and that's impressive. It really blows you away because when I was there, it was, you know, insane what you guys do. Like the cars that are there, just cars on cars on cars. You know, seeing the fab area, seeing the enclosure area, seeing the assembly line of, you know, the enclosures, how they, you know, progress from start to finish. It's wow, it's insane. It's awesome. It's you
I
know,
appreciate it. It's a different and I hate to put too much emphasis on that, but it's a different way of doing business, and I feel like we've, probably more than most, probably affected probably how different people, different shops do business these days, and look at things, and hopefully in a positive way, for the most part. So it's just different. It's a different mindset to doing business, and you try to broaden yourself enough to where when one thing's not busy, the other things are, hopefully, and it definitely keeps everything rolling. If retail's slow, there's always a bunch of custom work, and if one part of production's slow, we shift people to other stuff. So like, right now C10 stuff is really, really hot. So we've got a bunch of C10 boxes going through, and like two big manufacturing orders, one for Orca and one for Tesla Audio. So, you just shift people as is necessary for whatever is due. And Samantha rallies the troops in the back with the rest of her managers and keeps the right people doing the right stuff to where the product ends up the way it's supposed to end up. It's it's a different thought because you're running a manufacturing company while trying to build, some of the best work maybe out there, and you got a lot of good guys doing it, a lot of smart people. Couldn't do it without everybody that's there, so it'd be impossible.
everything you described seems like air traffic controller just on the car side, you know.
Yeah.
It is. It's you work with some of the guys I work with, and or all the guys I work with, even down to our normal installers. Now, our three main techs, and we have one trainee that we're bringing online now, and that we brought him in as a guy doing pillars for us in the back, and the three, they're all, we've taught all of them, to do 2D CAD, and now we've taught all of them to do Fusion, and
The
so
3D
there's,
scan.
yeah, 3D scanning, so you got 8 CAD stations in the front of the building, all with dual monitors, so,
Wow.
and everybody, depending on, the discussions had before each section of whatever we're building, so guys know the fastest way to build it, not just, oh, I want to do it this way. It's like, no, that's not the fastest, most efficient way. Then we're not going to do it that way. Let's use this machine instead of that machine. Or one of the guys, he's actually the install manager over the retail side. He's doing a 55 Bel Air. It's not a full interior. It's pair of kick panels, a nice little trunk, and some audio. And he first time really doing a set of kicks ever, and he's sitting there looking at it, and I was like, "Come here." And I just drag him over there, and I was like, "Look, this is how the C10 kicks are produced." I was like, "This is how we do every one of them." And he's looking, and I just run him through the timeline in Fusion. I just run him through it, and I was like, "This is for a C10, but the same concept transfers to whatever you're doing." And so I was
Right.
like, "So go here, do this, start this way, get your 2D, and then bounce it to 3D, and then we'll mill it." And that was a conversation that me and him had yesterday at the end of the day at 5 o'clock yesterday. At 5 o'clock today, the kicks are all milled, done, all done, and literally waiting to be gapped and put in the car and wrapped.
Wow.
And so, and so it's just one of those deals where, and he's done small stuff in 3D, but nothing,
Sure.
sizable. And he just walked to me, he goes, "That is not hard." I go, "No, that's not if you know what you're doing. If you
Yeah.
don't, it's scary as heck. But if you know what you're doing, it's not hard." And technology is really allowed us to, and everybody to expand in such a way and expand their skill set. And you know, I think if you're not using it, you're silly. So, and so many of the manufacturers out there are now promoting it. You got the guys over at Orca, obviously, and you got the guys over at MSC, and I think the guys at Hertz were also sending out printers too. I don't know, but everybody seems to be like sending out free Brand printers right now for an order, which is great. I mean, I thought it was awesome. I was like, I think we got 20 of them from Orca
Yeah, we
alone this
did.
year.
We got
So
quite a
it's
few.
like
We
hilarious.
Wow.
got quite a
I mean,
few.
we were going to place the orders anyway, so we didn't care. So we're like, whatever. I was like, I'll take a bunch of free printers. I'm
Yeah.
not
I
going to say
mean,
no.
the money's going to get spent somewhere, right? So you either buy product and get a printer or buy the printers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
So,
do. We do so much and so much business with Orca anyways, and have for so long. It's, that those numbers are almost guaranteed. So we know what we're going to
right.
do with them so ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I told them, see, the day, I was like, you can go ahead and put 20 of those to the side and go ahead and put my name on it. I was like, I'll, within the next, 3 months, 4 months, we'll have that spent. So, and sure
Yeah.
enough. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's just, it's definitely a great way to do business, I think. I know a lot of other companies have started shifting stuff that direction, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's funny, we, and Samantha can attest this on the production side. Um, I I so many of my friends and so many people that I know around the industry, they text me or message me all the time. So there's not a week that goes by that some customer doesn't come in with a picture of something you guys built,
Oh
and that's
yeah.
what they want. And I go, well, that's kind of cool. I was like,
Yeah.
and whether it's a box, that's in production, or whether it's
In our
some
console
a
or
console or something.
dev
So
seats. Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's super cool, and I tell the guys something that Gary Biggs had taught me a long time ago. And I just try to tell everybody the same thing. I was like, if you build it like it's the last thing you're ever going to build, it'll turn out just fine.
Yeah.
So it'll turn out just fine, and it'll be awesome. Um, I think as builders, we always want to build something really awesome. And I feel like we tell the guys that, and then, you know, it's a good group of guys. It really, really is. You know, working with 2 other installers of the year is fun. So
Yep.
nobody, I'll tell you what, with that group of guys, nobody walks around with a Superman cape on. It's a fun place to be.
I
We
can only
joke.
imagine the ideas bounced off of each other, like amongst you guys.
It really
Yeah.
is
Very cool. It's really awesome to watch.
the guys really do. And it's a morning thing. First thing in the morning, because all of us will go home and we have our thing, but we all go home and CAD or do Fusion at night. Working on what we're working on. So we all have stations at home, and you're able to immediately go jump into the cloud and just do what you're working on and pick right up. So, if somebody comes up with a new concept or new idea, they immediately the next day, we're talking about what we did. And because so much of Fusion, I mean, all the guys had to learn CAD from me, and then of course they go do it on their own. I mean, we give them the basics and then they do it. But Fusion has very much been a learn on your own deal. Kush was really the first one to get really, really involved in it. And then so Kush he's kind of like the tutor. We always joke. And so now there's 3 or 4 of us that are tutors to the other guys. And, you just keep pushing. And, I think Carlson said it best. You gotta keep learning every day, and if you don't, then I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd get pretty boring not
Yeah.
doing something new every day. So
Yeah. It's funny because I remember when I was in Corpus and you guys were kind of just starting with the enclosures, the pre-built enclosures,
yeah.
and talking to guys. And I know we bought, I think 2 or 3 of them from you guys before I just kind of quit doing retail stuff. But I was telling guys at that point, for what you guys are building and the price to ship them, there's no point. If you're within a reasonable distance, there's no point to build enclosures for trucks. Like
I had a-
Newsflash.
I
No
would
more
say-
peanuts.
I wouldn't even say reasonable distance. I just feel like, I mean, for me, like, when I was, tail end of retail, like just being able to order an enclosure and it comes out of the box badass.
Yeah.
I don't need to tie up my guy for X amount of days,
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it was very funny. I got a message from somebody in the Corpus area. Brian, I'm sure you can figure out who.
yeah.
And decided he wanted to ship some boxes and messaged me, and he was like, dude, it's like $350 to ship a box. Yeah. I was like, it is if you're shipping one.
Yeah.
I was like, it is if
Yep.
you're only shipping 1 or 2. I was
Right.
like, enjoy. And he goes, well, how do you get that down? I was like, first off, why would I tell you? I was like, just being honest, why would I tell you? It's not that kind of game. I was like, secondly,
Nope.
I was like, until you're going to ship 300 or 400 a month, I was like, that price ain't going to get much different, brother. I was like,
Nope.
you have to negotiate. That's how everybody does it. If
Yep.
you're, and that's anybody that's doing anything, any manufacturer, any company, you have your rep and you have to go to them. And you're not doing, it's just like anything else. If you ain't doing the numbers, you ain't
Right.
doing the bulk business,
Right.
they ain't gonna give you no discounts. So
Yeah, they're not going to help you out if you're not doing enough to make it worthwhile for them. It's like
Nope.
anything else.
yeah, it's the
Um,
same. So
but even when we were buying, a few enclosures from you guys, the cost of the shipping, which wasn't terrible because we weren't far away. I mean, we're a few hundred miles, but it's not the cost of the enclosure and the shipping, and I don't have to touch it. I literally there was even one of them I didn't even have to put in woofers in because you guys built it with the woofers in it. I didn't have to do anything other than set it in the truck, make a way to bolt it down, and plug it in. It took me 30 minutes to make brackets. Like I didn't have to do anything to it. It was done.
I mean,
So making a 150 to $300, whatever it was that we were making on the enclosure after we paid for everything, it's butter. But I'm also not going to waste hours or days trying to fab an enclosure.
hey,
Welcome to my zoo.
Yeah. You guys wouldn't know it, but there's a dog laying over here too, but he's like the chillest dog on the planet.
No, ma'am.
we have 2 house horses that also live here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
Great
have two big
Danes.
French Mastiffs.
No.
Oh.
French Mastiffs. That's the
Hi,
loud
babies.
barking you hear. And we have
Yeah,
two
yeah.
French Bulldogs and two French Mastiffs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No meow.
So who lost the bet to get the French Mastiffs?
We've had French
He did.
Mastiffs forever.
or,
We've had
Or
we
was
had French
that-
Mastiffs long before we had Frenchies. So
was that
Bulldogs, so.
Samantha coming home with, look at the cute puppies, and then like a year later, look at the cute puppy.
That's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about the second one. The first one has been amazing. So
Yeah. He
The
wanted the first one. The second one was, look at the cute puppy.
so you get one, you think you're going to train, it's going to turn out just like the other
Just
one.
like the first
Nope.
one.
Yeah,
No.
Couldn't be two more
No.
different dogs.
it's just like kids, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got another question for you guys, and this is, I'm curious to see, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit. So you guys are kind of known for, I mean, multiple winners and finalists in the industry awards, top 12ers, top 5ers, whatever the case may be, right? You guys are kind of like, it's almost expected or anticipated, I guess, that you're going to have somebody in the awards every year anymore. So being that you have, and you have guys that have moved on to other positions and other places, whatever, but with that kind of like heritage or lineage of winners and competitors, what does that do for your store culture? Like, is that something that the guys, like, even like you said, your kind of everyday installers that are doing the everyday work, do they look at that as something to work towards themselves, or is, you know, what does that do for the store culture of just like all of those people?
I think everyone from the front to the back is always striving to do their best and to move up and to, you know, see what they can do to better the company.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, so some of the guys, I mean, everybody that ends up at our doorstep is there to get better and be smarter and, you know, learn a new way of doing business and work and working. You know, I I would definitely say that was the process for a long time. Right now, it's like I had actually made a comment for the first time, and I don't know how long we will have no participant in any award this year whatsoever. And there's that we had one kid who is going to absolutely he's absolutely amazing. I'll tell you that right now, and I'll send you 2 pictures of the amp rack he just did in his truck. It's unbelievable. But you know, we really pushed him to we wanted him to do rookie of the year, and he probably will next year because he's really a first year tech, and so in next year he's out of school, and this is his last semester, and he'll be full time with us after that. But you know, that was always kind of the deal. Is like we would get guys that wanted to, that was like the check in the book that they wanted to get that they hadn't got yet, and you know, I felt like that I could help those guys get there.
Sure.
You know, I get told them, I was like, I can tell you what I did. I can give you a whole lot of research that you don't have to go out and do on your own, because I did it already, and then take it and make it your own. The beautiful part is that every one of them that's done it, they did their own stuff, their own shit. I didn't do their videos. I didn't hire camera crews. I didn't hire, and I get it. There's a lot of shops that do that, and good for them. God bless them. But we didn't do any of that. You know, the help's always offered, you know, because I obviously want my guys to win. You know, I mean, just like old Tom Brady said, there's the best win is the next win. So
Right.
and but you know, those guys have just really um, they've had a passion for something that they wanted to accomplish, and you know, And don't get me wrong, it's at the expense of my checkbook, because I can tell you that when they do those big feature builds, 99.9%, they put in probably twice as many hours on them as they should. And I just sit there and have to bite my tongue, because I'm like, God damn, dude. But on the flip side, I want them to win. And so it just is what it is. I mean, as cool as Dan Merritt's Challenger was last year and is, and don't get me wrong, it was still 60 grand, but I promise you it should have been 150 grand. I can tell you it should have been. But I mean, it kind of is what it is, these guys, they don't, like I said, they don't walk around with Superman capes on, man. They don't walk around with the arrogancy that you would think, the arrogance that you would think that they do. And that's a big thing I tell guys when they come interview with us. I was like, man, if you are coming here and you have any type of, arrogance about yourself because you think that or you think this, you're walking into a room with a bunch of dudes that have done it and have done it at the highest level, and
Yeah.
none of them act like it. They just come in to do their absolute best on what they're on and give 125% the whole way, and care about what they're doing. And those are just things you cannot teach.
No.
I can't teach you that. They had that before they came to me, and I like to think that we just gave them something to believe in, and the tools and the time and a little bit of a push, and they do it themselves. So, we've got some amazing guys. I mean, all the way from our stitchers that we have on staff to our techs to even the production people in the back. They I think there's one person back there that was originally a cabinetry, a master cabinetry guy, and he is the head designer now. He
Yeah.
does all box designs, and oversees that, making sure he gets built right and stuff. But he's the only one that really had any experience doing anything. We have the young lady that's head of the upholstery department back there. She did have some experience stitching, but outside of that, they ain't done nothing in car audio. They didn't know what a speaker box was. They,
No.
they
We have
and
taught them a lot.
we had to teach them, and it's not easy, but it worked, but yeah, I think that they see. I mean, we have a nice little place for all the trophies, and um, it's magical to say you got three. I know Carlson has two, and
Yeah.
between him and David, and
Yeah.
it's those guys are absolutely the best, and we all know it. And I mean, they're some of my closest friends, but I
Sure.
also very much look up to them. And it takes a lot of effort to pull it off, and
Oh yeah.
so I mean, it's just hard work. You just can't be afraid to do it. So
It seems, I mean, with 30 employees, that's got to be hard work no matter what. I mean,
It is.
it's like kid wrangling all day.
yeah, I've owned my own shops and run shops, and you've had 8 guys or 5 guys or even 3 guys, and that was hard enough on its own. But 30.
Oh, there's days you want to shoot yourself in the face. I promise you.
Yeah, I guarantee it. Yeah, because we all had those days where just some days there were better ways to go about it, and those better ways included not being there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I like about what you just asked, Brian, was like, obviously there's a lot of rock stars there, but the level of influence that's there, it's got to be contagious, because the support, the mentorship, the putting out the best work, wanting to be the best, wanting to push yourself to be better, the growth, all that, just like bundle all that up. I mean, that in itself, I feel like is either individually a definition of a rock star or rock stars, as a team,
Maddie made a joke a few years ago, I guess when Kush won, and he was like, "How's it feel to be the Bill Belichick of installer of the year stuff or whatever?" I don't remember. We were really drunk. I don't remember exactly what he said. It was something like that, and I just looked at it, I was like, "Whatever, dude." I mean, those guys. I mean, I mean, and two of the best videos I think I've ever seen done by anybody that's ever done any of this junk. And you know, I remember when I went and saw Cush's video at his house right before he submitted it just to critique it, and I walked in there and I go, "Ah, damn, that's a good video." I was like, he goes, "What should I change?" I was like, I got two things and that's it. I was like, and you don't even have to do that. I don't think it's gonna matter. I was like, who knows? And I was like, but I mean, we're just so well done, and like,
Yeah.
and then Phil, when I saw his, especially honestly, had he not even brought up that he didn't do 60% of the IROC he'd have won 2 years ago, so it wouldn't have mattered. But he was honest, and that's fine. But you know, uh,
Hmm.
you know, he same thing. They had a plan before they ever started, and they execute the plan, and their video was so well done. I had multiple judges tell me after Phil's was done, it's like God bless. It was just so well executed
Yeah.
and thought
Well,
out.
I told you guys, like I told him that was one of my favorite videos, especially the interview side of it, where he was sitting down with the car, with the cars as the backdrop and all of that, and just the way he put the thought into answering those questions. That was one of my favorites. There's been very few that stand out in the years that I've been judging, and that was one of them.
I tell the guys that too. I know, like Phil this year, he's like, hey, he goes, so I was watching this show and they were doing an interview, and this is how I want mine to look lighting wise. And I'm like, what the hell? I was like, whatever, dude. I was like, I'll just make sure I'm not at the shop that's that weekend. Just tell me when you're going to do it, and I'll be out of town. I was like, I don't even care. And dude, but that's the kind of, and he's it. I mean, if you call Cush and ask, he'll tell you the day that they did that stuff, he goes, it took him 6 hours to set up his stupid lights and get him the way he wanted. And Cush
Wow.
was like, because Cush was helping him film it. And
Yeah.
he was just like, God, bless, it took all day to do just that part, just to get the parts to edit. And, but yeah, I mean, just they put that much thought into it, and it meant a lot to them, to do it that way. I told them, it was different when I did mine because I was doing a retail of the year video at the same time while doing the other one. So I of course got Mark Cletty to help me with mine, and he actually edited all my installer of the year one, and made sure that I did things right and didn't forget stuff, while I was doing the retail of the year on my own. So, I mean, but I mean, it's just like I told them, it's just like, you find the way that works for you and get it done. Um, yeah, it's been a lot of fun watching those guys do those things. And it's been a blast, and even the ones that have won things that, don't work for us, that aren't with us anymore, watching them, do the things they've done over the years. I know when Cruz won his, he was at Avant Garde, but he had spent, some time that year prior with us. And me and him did probably the coolest car that nobody's ever seen. One of these days, me and him will be maybe Scott Bawalda will allow me and him to post that work that we did for him, but who knows? We've got pictures of maybe the raddest Honda Civic SQ build that nobody's ever seen. It's
Oh,
sitting
wow.
it's sitting in a container at out at Scott's old building. So and
Wow.
I did the front end, and Scott did and David did the back end of the car, and that was right after he left Soundscapes. I mean, you know, uh, just a lot of cool things to be a part of, and guys that have been a part of what we've done. So I mean, whether it was a short time or a longer time, obviously David worked for us, a few years later,
Yeah.
um, you know, but it's been a lot of fun. And it's been a lot of really, really, really talented and very smart people that have walked through our door. So we've been fortunate. So
It's got to be a
That's
good
one
feeling.
thing. Yeah.
It's got to be a great feeling.
it
For
is.
me, I love watching this stuff, but it almost hurts when I watch what some of you guys come up with, because all of this kind of really came around, like CNC routers, like your guys' CNC routers were just kind of really becoming a thing as I was getting out of the industry. And now seeing what you guys do, I love watching it, I don't know how to do any of it, and it's almost I miss it. I miss sometimes being a part of those projects or having something to do where when you're done, there's something like you feel it. Like I did that, we did that as a team, whatever the case may be. But I'm so far out of the game these days. I just sit back and watch you guys, Justin Marks, Jeremy and his guys, Tom and his guys. Just I love watching it all.
It's
It's
crazy.
fun.
It's jaw dropping. Every time you like open up like anything social media, you see like one build, then another, then another. It's like it's so cool.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I mean, honestly, the reason that Sam's on the video is because everyone's like, "Oh man, those things are cool." But if it wasn't for her running the retail, the dealer side of the business and the production side and doing all that, we wouldn't. I mean, we definitely wouldn't have to have as many machines as we have and all the assets that we have. That makes it cool for us to do what we do. So she's the one that really keeps all that stuff, all the balls up in the air,
Right.
and keeps it going. Because otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get it accomplished. I would just, like I told her, I was like, if I had to do all that, I'd quit. It's not fun.
How
It's not
many
fun at all.
how many machines do you guys have now? It's got to be a lot.
So I sold off a couple CNCs that I'd acquired. One was the first Cam Master we bought. I sold it last year, and then I had a Laguna that I bought from Gary Bell when he got his last machine. So
My phone died.
oh cool.
Oh,
My phone died.
that's okay.
They got this thing called chargers.
Yeah, I
Pretty
know.
awesome. So we have two CNCs at the shop. I'm gonna buy another one next year when we add to the building, and we'll update. We'll do another update on the two we have. They're great Cam Master machines. They work good. We've got. I
Wait,
guess.
did you say add to the building?
Yeah, we'll probably add on next year to the building. So it's.
You're gonna own like half of College Station property just to have your
We call it the compound. I call it the
the
compound.
compound.
Yeah, so then we got, I guess, 30 3D printers in the building now, give or take.
Wow.
30.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
I guess four lasers. We have two universals and two big boss lasers that we've had forever. I'm going to probably buy a new laser next year. I'll probably finally break down and buy a Trotec or something. Maddie's been ribbing me. And he's like, "Man, you need a faster laser, faster laser." I was like, "No, these are fine." But probably next year we'll probably buy a Trotec or something because
What's the new one that everyone's starting to like get, like the walk-in looking one that looks like a little like, walk-in like tanning
Walk-in printers.
big 3D printers. Yeah, it's either you buy the big rep. I don't know the one that Tyler just bought, and I'm sure it's a Canadian company, and that's why. Because they always have, like, if Tyler has and he's got some cool machines, but they're always a company I don't know because they're probably made in Canada. So,
Yeah.
but I'd imagine it's similar to the big reps that I know us and JT and Carlson and Katz all have.
Yeah.
So, and those were good. They're really annoyingly expensive machines that are so finicky. But they're great. I mean, like right now, ours is running Bel Air, a full Bel Air trunk that for 55 Bel Air that we've done. So
Jeez.
yeah, so it's pretty cool. But Samantha,
I call them walk-in printers.
they're pretty cool. You can
Yeah.
cloning device. I wish they would do that. So.
There you go.
So I got a question for both of you. This is typically, the last question that I always do, but a lot of the industry, if not most of the industry, I would say, looks up to you guys and what you guys do, because you guys definitely push the needle for our industry. I would definitely say you guys have paved the way to a certain extent for the industry, and your words are always motivating. So I would like to know, what are some words of encouragement for those looking to be part of the awards or continue being part of the awards? What are some encouraging words from each of you guys?
Put your best foot forward.
Man, it takes a team. There's no doubt.
Takes a village.
Takes a village. I know, the first thing I would say is just go do it. Be okay with sucking, and that's harsh, but not. Be okay. Be okay with doing it and it being terrible. Um, I think I've erased them all, but I know there used to be videos floating around of some of the earlier submissions. One I did in a sock monkey hat.
Yeah,
I
you're
totally,
doing this with the kids.
and joking around because you've done it enough times, you just kind of stop taking it seriously. And it's, so, and, like I told her about the first time I was ever a part of it, we had to make books.
Yep.
And I was, I was up there with Carlson and Katz and Yato, and I'm sitting there going, who and why am I here? I was like, and, so, I mean, it's, don't be afraid to go and suck or go and lose. It's okay, because if you don't do that, you will never get to where you want to be. You will never get good. All of us, no matter what we did, started somewhere. I remember my first set of fiberglass kick panels, they literally caught on fire. So, I mean, so it's okay. I mean, it is okay to not be good at something right off the bat. And I can't express enough. That's probably the hardest thing for this generation to figure out,
Mhm.
is that it's okay to not be good and to work hard and advance yourself. So when it comes to the awards, don't be afraid to grab your cell phone and do a TikTok video or whatever it is you kids do nowadays, and it be highly mediocre.
Yeah.
And so and that's okay. Do that and send it in if you're proud of what you did, and then cool. And don't be afraid if it's not. Be okay with it not being good. And then you take that and you look at the notes. I mean, shoot, y'all get notes now. We didn't even get notes back in the day. We just you didn't win. Cool, right on. And we never knew. I never even knew who the judges
No,
were. I mean, so
criticized.
now you get notes how to get better. You can go talk to guys. They didn't give us none of that stuff back then. You just wing it. So I mean, be okay with doing that, and that goes way beyond the awards, man. I mean, it goes with everything you do. Um, it's okay to mess up. It's okay to fail, because if you don't fail, you will never get better at anything you do.
100%.
So, well, anyways,
I always share your story because I know it took you a couple of tries to get the Installer of the Year award, and I always
12,
use that as motivation.
12 tries.
For people that are
Solid
like
tries.
bummed out after their
Yeah.
first loss, and I'm like, let me tell you something, man. Pate did it for 12 years, and each year he came hungrier and hungrier and learned and learned and learned, and guess what? It paid off.
Yep.
And now look at you guys. There's something to be said for applying yourself and self-reflecting. So
It's, I mean, like I said, the year that I won, if she wouldn't have been taking care of the kids, and the kids were small, now they're one's off at college, the other one's got a year left, and she's off at college, and they're grown. And but if it wouldn't have been for her taking care of the kids, I couldn't have done all that stuff and worked all those hours. I mean, somebody
Right.
they were small kids then, so, and they needed assistance and meals and
I
things.
still worked while they were at school too.
She did. She'd work during the day while they were at school. So I mean, she didn't just sit at home eating bonbons.
Nope.
So yeah, I just think that people have to understand the level of commitment that goes into it. But I mean, you have a lot of things we didn't have back then. You have a lot of technology. You have a lot of they have this really cool thing called YouTube, and it's actually pretty handy at learning things. And
I remember his first shop CNC bot thing that he brought home in the garage to learn how to use it. He drove me and the neighbors insane.
so yeah, so I mean, it's okay. I started, using machines, I guess, at Tulsa Plastics when I was working for Rob Rice, and I was up there with Gary, and I realized, I talked to Carlson at some point somewhere, and I knew Carlson had a shop bot, and so, he was like, man, you know how to do CAD. You should just, if you can't get, you can't get a CNC at your shop. He goes, you should, find somebody up there. And I ended up befriending a guy at a plastic shop, and they had a water jet and they had a CNC. So I'd go up there and, learn that stuff. And so here we are, you get home and you come home, opening your own place. And, a few years in, I decide I'm going to go buy my own machine, and I buy some used shop bot from a school up north,
Yeah.
like way up on the East Coast. I had to send a guy out to pick it up, and got it back there, had to refurb the whole thing and get it all running. And it literally, I had it in the garage, and that's where I do my work. And it was loud. Back then they had a big old, on them 3.25 horsepower Porter cable routers was what the spindle was built out of. It was just the whole out of it. That's what it was, mounted into it. So it had been shelled out, but that's what it was. And dude, y'all know those boogers are loud. And I had an old man that was right across the street from us, and was the first house we actually ever bought in this nice little neighborhood across town in College Station. And the old man would come out there and he'd just look at me, sneer. And I'd say, come on, man, I'm doing some woodwork. And he'd come over there and he'd hang out for a little bit, and then he'd leave. He goes, man, that thing's really loud, Chris. I go, it is. He goes, you got to do it so late at night. I go, and I'll try to shut it off, so I won't bother you. So
It's funny. Car audio guys find a way to be loud all over again, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
I think the humming of the machines would put the kids to sleep.
it would. Their room was right on the other side of the garage. So
Oh, wow.
I mean,
That's funny.
it's crazy. The industry has embraced, all this technology, and I think it's great.
Remember a conversation that was had with a very close friend of mine in the industry, and whenever I know that we just pushed it so much that it was almost like this secret, for a long time, that's what we were all doing. A lot that some of us were doing, that how much machinery we were running, and it was just like there was just like this point to where I just like, man, it's either let it out and let everyone see if they can if they can adapt, or if or people are not. And so it just finally came to the point where it's like, we didn't hide behind what we were doing. We were designing in 3D and milling and are cutting things on lasers. So it's been a lot of fun watching guys now, everywhere. I see stuff done and I go, man, that was cool. We were doing that, 8 years ago. And it's like cool that
It's really
they saw, that they saw a picture or something. And we didn't tell them how to do it. Maybe they went to a class somewhere I don't know that we were at, but probably not.
Yeah.
And, they just saw a picture somewhere and they were like, hey, how did they achieve that? And they went and did the same things we did, and hopefully didn't burn anything down. And they come up with something. You see a lot of really good stuff. I will say the level of what I've seen, and obviously I don't see a lot of it in person, but I see it in pictures on Facebook. And what I've seen people build from 2 years ago to just now is light years ahead. And I was teaching a class at Mobile Solutions recently where I brought that up. I was like, man, it's just amazing watching what guys do now. And it's nice to have been a part of it.
Yeah.
To have helped in some way. I mean, there's a group of us, and I could go down the list of names. You guys know every one of them, and it's just nice to have been a part of that. And to help it go somewhere in a positive manner. So
the thing that I love seeing is, when you think about, and you've been doing this for a long time too. I started in the 80s working on cars in car audio, and it was like there were some cool things that came around here and there. It was more about like the whole like fiberglass and paint was a big deal, like late 80s or late 90s, early 2000s, right? We all hated that stuff. But then we get to 20, the teens of the 20s, and it's like this rapid succession of we're leaving all of these old ways behind, which I really wonder in some ways if that didn't hold our industry back, because we were only building in wood. We were, door panels, spacers, and all these other things that were done for decades were all built the same way forever. And then it just all of a sudden, fasteners, and we've gotten away from wood for the majority of what we do in cars, with the exception of like enclosures and some trim panels. But and then it's the way everything's being built now. Now it's CNCs, it's precision, it's 3D printing and all this other thing that make things so more. There are things that we're doing now in the industry that we couldn't have done 10 years ago with printers and lasers and things like that. Like the way things fit, the way things look, the finish of things that are put in cars nowadays. Not to mention the durability of plastic versus MDF, right? It just the way our industry has progressed. I wish we could have figured this out 2 decades ago.
Yeah, I think that, and I actually, it's not that I think I know. I think that if everybody owes a debt of gratitude to Jeremy Carlson.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there's every one of the things that you mentioned. If it wouldn't have been for Jeremy, I don't know. I don't. Maybe at some point it would have trickled its way in,
it would have
but
taken a lot longer.
it would have taken a lot longer. And I mean, down to using magnets as fasteners and every one of the things you mentioned was pioneered first by Carlson. And and I know that because I was there. And he showed us. So
Well,
I just I think there's if they talk about people that should get big awards, and I know he has an installer of the year and a retailer of the year too over there at Extreme when he was there.
Yeah.
But and they talk about guys who have really given back. Carlson's really kind of the guy,
Dude.
and then if you had to pick someone ahead of that, go all the way back to, and I know the one that told both him and myself, because we're friends with him, was Mark Lowe, who was with Rockford.
Yep.
So yeah, it's an impressive thing for sure. But very cool.
I feel like we've graduated immensely. That's kind of how I see it. But I feel like I'm going to call it the manual version of doing installs is still very much needed as a 101.
You have to know how to build it manually. If you come
Yeah.
and Elias, you've been to our facility, but I mean, we in the building alone, we have 12 routers and really big tables, and they run all day, every day. And if you don't know how to, if you can't do it with, number one, even now with as much as we 3D and we really do try to, the goal is no body filler. So, and we really try hard to get there. But even with that, there's, I tell the guys, there's a right place for everything. And our routers run all day, every day. Our table saw runs all day, every day.
Yeah.
It's one of those deals, as for instance, I'm building a dash and a square body right now. And the lower bolsters, they're all 3D'd, but as it turns out, the column measurement was slightly different in the scan, and I missed it. And so, well, what do? You're going to go back and waste a piece of $400 HDU, or are you going to go in there and just fix it on a router? I can tell you, I'm going to go fix it on a fucking router, and it's going to be all right. So, and so, it's important to know how to build manually and how to solve problems manually. If you think you're just going to do it on a computer and be done, that doesn't work that way. So,
it's funny because I had a conversation. Well, it's been a while back. With Justin Marks, and he refers to it as doing it analog, right? Analog versus digital. And he has said several times in conversations, if you can't think about it in analog, you'll have a harder time figuring it out digitally, because you have to know how to think about the process of this piece to this piece to this piece from A to Z, right?
I think Chris called it expanded mode.
Yeah. And I think if you are great at analog, it makes digital a bit easier to understand and process it. Like you guys are saying, you have to start in the morning with ideas of here's how we need to get to the finished product.
If you have to, like I tell the guys, I think one of the hardest things that we all do is being able to see things in 3D or the expanded drawing in your head.
Mhm.
Obviously, designing in CAD and Fusion helps you do that. But
Yeah.
um, uh, there's definitely a big deal with putting that together. I always tell the guys is like, we work off of rendering almost at everything we do, but some of the ones we don't. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the C10s, probably half the C10s, I don't work on a rendering necessarily all the time. Um, at the end of the day, I know the sketch on, I know what I'm going to go with, and I know the style that I'm going to build it in. But it's one of those deals where you have to be able to do what we do. You have to be
Mhm.
able to visualize the end product in 3D in the assembly process. And the guys that have been able to do that are the guys that can transfer over to the digital realm easiest. At the end of the day, learning the commands and the program and the limitations of what it can and can't do, you can watch a bunch of YouTube videos and figure that out.
Right.
But understanding that whatever you build, if you couldn't have built it, if you never built it manually before, I think it's a lot more challenging to pull that off. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
100%. We were talking about Jeremy a few minutes ago, and I got to go to the class that he taught door panels at in Phoenix, and it was the very first class he ever taught, and I walked away from that with so much that we talk about going to training a lot of times, and when you're at a certain level, where we were all at in within reason, you don't go to a training and go home with this much stuff, right? You go home with a piece here and a piece here and a piece here and a piece here, and you put those together to help make what you already know more efficient, or do it in a different way, or look at it differently to be better. Except when I went to that class.
yeah,
Like,
I think that a lot of guys underestimate the value of some of those classes.
yeah.
Um, and and obviously, I do a lot of stuff with obviously with Brian and the guys at Mobile Solutions, and have for years.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I think that guys underestimate the value of that and the hands-on aspect of it, which is really the most important thing. And
Yeah.
and I love the fact that as much as everybody knows that the digital realm is cool, is great, it is efficient and allows us to accomplish a lot on the efficiency side, but as well as the precision side of it.
Hmm.
Um, I love the fact that Brian still he still teaches so much in analog.
Yep.
We actually just sent one of our guys out there to one of the Orca trainings, and I literally wanted him to go out there so I knew that he knew how to really do reduction on rabbit bits and some of the
Hmm.
stuff that I knew darn well he didn't know how to do,
Right.
because I'd never seen him do it in the shop. And I was like, man, sometimes you need to be able to know how to produce this to make this part to fit in here. He had just been doing everything digitally with us, and no, he did great work.
Sure.
But I just, this was little things that we all learned, coming up,
Hmm.
So, and I think that Brian does such a good job of teaching that, and so
Yeah.
those classes have all been a fun deal. I'm probably one of the weird ones that never was there as a student, so. Uh,
I sent him as a
I
student.
was supposed to go as a student once, and I didn't go. I ended up having to cancel, and then the next time that I went out was the golf cart, and
Oh, okay.
I was
Okay.
never and I went to there to do the golf cart and to be on the build team, and that was that was probably the craziest build experience I've ever been a part of. It was pretty wild. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I
anyways,
could say that was, even to this day, that training class, and I've been to a few of them, but that specific one changed. Like, I literally went back to my hotel room, or actually I think I was staying with Doug at the time, but went back after class, and I was tired mentally from trying to remember everything that was going on. And then you get home and it's like, okay, I need to get this, and I need to buy that, and I need to do this, and I need to have this. And and my son, that was when my son was helping me work on stuff a lot. He would come to the shop and we would spend time together. And he wanted to know what I learned. So it was like a perfect situation to just make a reason to use what we learned in class. Because a lot of times you go to a class and you don't get to use what you learned right away when you come back, right?
Mhm.
And for me, it was a great excuse to come home and build something right now.
Yeah.
So that it reinforced what we did, what we learned. And it made a difference for a long time in how I looked at building certain things going forward from that class.
Yeah, like I said, I think that when they talk about, lifetime achievement or whatever type things, um, and Carlson isn't old. He's the same age as me.
Yeah.
I think exactly the same age as me. And, but when you think about guys that have really advanced things to this point, I'd put Carlson at the top of the list.
100%.
You know,
100%.
and not just because he's one of my best friends. I'll
No.
tell you right now, he helps guys all the time that he doesn't ever see. I mean,
Yep.
I've seen him do it, and
Yep.
I've seen posts where I know that guy got, he sent him how to do this, and or
Mhm.
hey, use this material or whatever, and and he's one of the few guys I'll tell you that's as busy as me or busier.
Yep.
He's not posting on Facebook because he don't have time. So
No.
and he's got two grown kids and a wife and and all the
Yep.
same things. So, but there's nobody that I think that has helped advance where we are right now that's more responsible for it than Carlson. I know there's those of us that proliferated it out and have
Yeah.
promoted it. JT, myself, Katz, obviously,
Yeah.
and many others. But there's I don't. We may have got here, but it would have taken a lot longer.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah, another
100%.
name you mentioned, Mark Lowe. I met Mark Lowe in 05 at Mobile Dynamics, and even then he was ahead of his time. Like the stuff
Yeah.
that he was
Mark Lowe, if anybody is one of the most, is probably the best guy that a lot of guys in our industry don't know because they're too young. And
Yeah.
Mark Lowe is really, in my opinion, he's probably the godfather to us all using CNCs and lasers.
Mm-hmm.
Mark was doing it. Mark was probably one of the very first to do it. And Carlson either was right there. I think Carlson was right after him, but Carlson could tell you the story better than I could. So, but
Yeah.
I know that Carlson credits Mark a lot as well. And I know that I've had many conversations. I get to know Mark really well when Lee Teeples worked there, because I've been friends
Yeah.
with Lee for a long time. So,
Yeah.
so I got to know Mark really well there and got a lot of great advice from Mark. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, he's the man. I mean, he's built some shit, and he was doing it digitally, a long time before any of us were. A long
Right.
time. So
Yeah. We've been trying to get Jeremy locked down to come on with us at some point. Hopefully eventually he'll have some time. It's just, some of the guys are busier than others. So, but he's
No, he
definitely one that
He
we're
is.
working on our list. So,
Yeah.
We have a long list, and like we said at the beginning, this one was exciting for us because we had been looking at the list for a long time, and we just kept coming back to it, and it's one of those things where we get excited for everyone, but there's only so many hours in a day and so many days in a month,
Yeah.
and you run out of all that. So it's always exciting, and this was exciting for us for sure.
yeah. We've gone through so many ideas of how to bring you guys on, whether it was like get the whole team and bring all of you guys all at once. And then we're like, that's not really going to focus on one person, or, we've had so many ideas of different ways to go about this, but this was definitely one of my favorites that Elias came up with having both you guys here with us.
She
Yeah, those are fun.
Thank you.
she keeps everything going. So
Yeah.
if it wasn't for her doing everything else, there wouldn't be nearly the time for me to do the things I do at the shop. So
Right.
So it's definitely a team effort. So anybody that thinks it's not, it's crazy. So
Yeah, and that's the message, and and part of the story that we wanted to capture of having you both on is that message. So
Yeah.
it's exciting. So thank you. I know it's taking a lot of your personal time away, but thank you for
It's
being
fine.
on.
She was in the pool anyways. So when
Yeah.
I got here, so I just missed my pool time. So big deal, guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go sit on the couch and watch a movie after this, anyways.
Well, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys coming on with us. Samantha, thank you for coming on and sharing your side of the story too. I think that makes a big difference for people watching. A lot of this is just to inspire people to want to participate in the awards, but to see that it's, I think from the outside, if you don't know, Chris is like this monster machine that does everything with a couple of really good guys. And to learn that there's this team, of you guys running that machine and or guiding the machine, I guess, because you don't really run it yourselves. You guys just kind of point it in the right direction, right? Keep the boat going the right direction. But I think that's going to open up a lot for people to understand about what MTI is doing and capable of.
Yeah, and the other side of it is, I'm big on influence and giving back, and I feel like, whether you partake in the awards or not, if this allows you to grow and push to be better in whatever facet you're focusing on, and so be it.
100%.
So
Yeah, and the last thing I would say is like the just go do it. It doing the awards makes you better. I mean, because you have to sit down and really put that effort in to make something better and to do something better and get better. So, and you put emphasis on what you're trying to accomplish. So I think it's an important thing to just go do it. So
absolutely,
100%.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the time that you gave us, and hopefully we get to talk to you guys again sooner than later. I'm going to have to figure out a way to make a trip out to see you guys. I want to see the building of doom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Appreciate it.
We'll probably
right,
see you
have a good night, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye,
See you soon.
guys.
Bye. Wow.
Those are two of my favorite peoples.
That whole conversation really just puts a different perspective on what MTI is.
Yeah, it adds another story, another layer, another continuation of what they're known for, but it's kind of behind the scenes. That's how I felt.
Right. Yeah, that's it. It gives you a better insight into 30 employees, a building that they're going to expand in the next year or so.
Not counting the machines.
Everything they're doing, it's counting all those machines. That's not common. It's not common nowadays.
Yeah. And that's why I said earlier, being there and the way I worded it, made sense. Like they do a lot for such a small, big space, like you would think they have a 250,000 square foot ginormous monstrosity of a building. Yeah. It's a big building, but they're doing so much. Like every inch of that place is being used.
Right. Yeah. There's no wasted space. That should be inspiring on its own, right? Yep. That they're doing that. The fact that she is as much, if not maybe more involved on the day-to-day because she's running production, it gives you a huge perspective of what's going on in a place like that you see so much cool stuff done at, but you have no idea what's really going on a day-to-day.
Yeah, I mean, look at like we were talking about Carlson, like what they do at Avant-Garde. I mean, same story. Jeremy Katz at JK, same story. Like, JT, same thing. It's like these guys have, and I mean it when I say this, they have pushed that needle. And, they've challenged us to be better as an industry. They've challenged us to be better individually, those that are, close to them or have approached them or have been in a class with them. These guys, care so much about, pushing that needle that they're doing it. And I think that's I think that's influential for all of us. I mean,
I
just
agree.
sharing the story of like Mark Lowe and Jeremy Carlson. That's a story.
That's a story I want to hear.
Obviously, we hope to have Carlson on soon, but now I kind of want to talk to Mark Lowe. It's been like I
well,
hear the story of Mobile Dynamics. When I was at Mobile Dynamics, that guy was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Like, and we're talking 2005. It's like, wow. Back then to now, like fast forward all that, we've grown as an industry, and I know we'll continue to grow with all the machines and all the new tips and tricks, but it's just a big positive, and being able to get a little snippet of what Chris and Samantha do, I think adds to that whole big picture.
Yeah, you're right.
So those are some of my favorite peoples. I'll probably get to see them in Vegas for the SEMA show. But every time I go down to Texas, I try to make that little drive. So it's fun seeing it in person, and actually seeing it from a distance. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make some time to make a drive over and go check them out. It's about a 4-hour drive, I think, from here. So
from where my family's at, I think it was only like an hour, if that. I think it was maybe like 50 minutes. But the funny part was, you see all the cars that are on deck being worked on, right? And then you see this other batch of cars. Those are the cars that are on deck. And basically, like, when one of the cars is being started to work on, the other one's already there. So like there's no like wait time.
Oh, as they're completing one, the other one's already it's in the batter's box,
even
ready
if it's
to go.
Started on, like, even if it's just being started on, like, if like say you're working on a car, your next one's already there too.
Wow.
It's
cool.
It's a crazy operation. Like, there's so many layers.
It'll be fun to see it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this was fun. This was great. To be expected.
I loved it.
For everyone, Mobile Toys Inc., MTI, however way it, Chris and Samantha are the faces of that air traffic controller, as I call it, as they're guiding everything that goes on. So
yeah, one of the great shops, kind of leading the charge to a better industry.
Yep.
100%.
All
righty, man.
And I'm going to say this to end. Regardless of what size shop you are, you can make a difference. You can make a difference for yourself. You can make a difference for the industry. You can make a difference for your coworkers. Regardless, you can do it. As I was saying earlier, whether it's awards, just go and do it, or just go learn a new craft or a new machine, or go take a training, or whatever it is, just go do it. That's my biggest thing. Like,
be better.
Be better. And leave this with everyone, as a reminder. Chris, his journey for Installer of the Year was 12 years.
12 years. Yeah, you got to let that sink in, right? Because there's some guys that went 2-3 years and they got it, and it took him 12 years to get to that point.
But I would say, like, it definitely paid off.
Never give up.
I'm sure even after winning that, I think his growth as a business owner with Mobile Toys, that's been a second part of that big chapter, because he applied himself for 12 years. Well, now he's applying himself to his business, so that's another achievement in itself. So
well, I think the willingness to put in all of that time to get that to achieve that goal, right? 12 years to achieve a goal that shows you, and it probably develops in people the ability. Well, it took me 12 years to do this. Okay, well, I'm not going to quit my next goal until I get it, whether it takes me 2 years, 5 years, 12 years, 20 years. There's always going to be a goal. You have to be able to have the determination and the willpower to see it through.
You see this more firsthand because, you're obviously from a install fab background, but when I see the installer of the year videos, it's a tight competition, bro. Like these guys are leveling it up. It's insane. So like, yeah, we're talking about, Chris's journey of that period of time, but like a lot of these guys, it's like they don't win one year, they come back way hungrier. And it's like, I like to see that competition because that means the growth is there, the self-reflecting is there, the applying themselves is there. And,
The willingness to
competition I think
learn.
is good because it makes you better,
Yeah. The willingness to learn from your from what you didn't do right. I wouldn't say it's a mistake, right? Because it wasn't a mistake. You put what you thought was your best effort in. It's like they always say, they talk about Thomas Edison didn't fail at making a light bulb 100 times or 99 times. He learned how not to make it 99 times till he made it right the 100th time, right?
Right.
Fail your way to the top, if you want to call it whatever. But it's learning. It's learning from this effort to make a more concerted effort from not getting to the goal.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
I think, you'll agree to this the same way I do. I think our industry has shown immense growth the last, handful of years. And I think that's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm proud of us as a whole, as an industry, because we're doing it,
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but when you look at it and slow down and observe and pay attention, we've done a lot. We've done a lot.
I mean, we've got a long way to go. I still think we have a long way to go as a whole, but there is that percentage of the industry that is growing from, Jeremy Carlson and a couple other people as one or two people that were a percentage of a percentage, right? To now there's a significant percentage of the industry that's embracing that, and it's just going to expand. And not everybody's going to be mobile toys. They're not going to have 30 printers and all this other stuff, right? But they're going to embrace pieces that work for them. And that might be two printers and a small laser or whatever the case may be. I remember when it was, a lot of guys doing lasers, they were doing those Glowforge type lasers, right? And that was impressive. And now a lot of the guys that are doing them have these big bed lasers that they've just expanded the capability. They may not use it for its full capability every single time, but they have a capability to reproduce things quickly, accurately. It's another one of those things. Once you've built that file, I'm pretty sure that's how MTI has just managed to get where they're at. Is they understood the assignment of make it once, save the file. Make it once, save the file. Make it once, save the file.
And you said something that's very important. You don't have to be or aspire to be mobile toys. You could be a one machine type of shop or a one more training and I learned something type of shop. You could be whatever it is, big, small, medium, whatever.
Move your needle.
And that's what it's about. And then that's what I was, getting at when I feel like our industry has done a lot in the last few years. Yeah, there's always going to be work. There's always going to be something, but I think we've done a lot. And I think, we all can agree to that.
Yeah, you're right. Yep. Move your needle.
Move your needle.
Just, as Chris said, just make it happen.
Yeah. And, Samantha said it, just do it.
Just do it.
So, well, cool, brother.
Cool, man.
We will catch everyone on the next one. And this was good. This is exciting. A lot to unpack here.
A lot. All right, man. Well, for tonight, we're done. We will see you guys again soon.